welcome to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. Today we're going to get right into the February love outlook for the sign of Scorpio. Now, Scorpio, this is going to be an outlook for you and someone that you already have your eye on, right? Somebody you consider to be your soulmate, your significant other, your lover, or even if you're not together with them, the person that you are in love with at the moment. So this is not for a single or a Scorpio who doesn't know who their divine partner is or who they would like them to be, right? So let's just take a general outlook on that union, on that connection, and the communication that's happening right now with you and that person. Now, I'm working with my new Island Time Wellness Oracle deck. This is a beautiful sort of love oracle deck that I got on Etsy, and the link for this deck is going to be in the description if you want to check it out for yourself. And we're going to pull out two of these oracle cards for you to see what your month may be like in this connection with this person that has a portion of your heart. Straight out, we have cassette. Now, cassette is all about being outdated, right? In your thinking, not really sort of, progressing, right? Being very conditioned. It can also indicate sort of obsessing a little bit, Scorpio, right? Sort of replaying the events over and over in your head, things that happened, trying to see where things went wrong. And then we have Hand of Cards, taking a chance, a risk, being very strategic right now, or not showing your hands right now. Again, a situation where you're not really wanting to show exactly how you feel. I do apologize for those cards not really focusing so well. They are black cards, and so I think I might be getting the pink set as well coming up soon, so keep your eye out. Anyway, it's interesting that, this is a really sort of tricky time for Scorpios with this particular outlook right away. You know, there is something that has happened that you're really kind of obsessing over a little bit with that cassette oracle message, right? It could be that something happened in this connection that, you're trying to understand why it happened, right? And also right now you're being very sort of cagey, right? You're kind of not wanting to express yourself, not wanting to show your hand. It could be that you and your person may or may not be together right now. You may be apart from each other right now, sort of taking a break, or we'll see. Let's get your animal spirits out, Scorpio, and then we'll get your spread out, and then we're going to get right into the nature of these oracle messages. They're quite interesting indeed. That's why I love this deck now that I'm using this Love Oracle deck, because the messages and the wording on here is so interesting. Eel spirit, right? Bring your ideas to life. So getting animated, getting a bolt of energy, and beaver spirit, laying a solid foundation. All right, so two really water elements, because beaver is considered to be part of the water elemental spirit. Let's take a look at both of these animal spirits briefly, and then we'll get right into your spread. So, Scorpio, interesting. The electric eel and the beaver spirit. So the electric eel really talks about suddenly having a burst of inspiration or understanding coming in. Suddenly there's going to be a real sort of revelation, even a feeling of maybe having an epiphany, but there's going to be a real understanding that comes into you this month. Although you start off with this kind of like very strategic and at the same time a little bit obsessive sort of behavior with that cassette oracle message, you do sort of get a real understanding this month coming in about the nature of this situation, right? And so this is the animal spirit for the electric eel. This is the nature of it. And then you also have beaver spirit, and beaver spirit really talks about co-creating with the universe, right? Understanding that, possibilities are endless for you to actually find your path towards happiness and the things that you want to really accomplish in life, but they require you to constantly be at it and work at it. And this beaver spirit is all about that. The beaver is a really sort of hard-working animal spirit that is willing to keep, like, practically and intentionally putting effort in. And so this is what's required right now. If you're trying to work towards a certain objective in your life or a certain goal, Scorpio, Beaver Spirit definitely is reminding you also that it does require like a consistent effort towards change or towards building that solid foundation from which you can then go ahead and accomplish your goals, right? And so when we're talking about a love connection, we're talking about building a solid foundation. And that means also being very active and determined, not giving up, being prepared to put hard work into the relationship and into yourself if that's what's required. Because Cassette also talks about having a very outdated way of thinking. And really sort of a restrictive kind of way of thinking. So if you're dealing with that, or if you're dealing with somebody who's resonating with that, then Beaver Spirit is asking you also to very conscientiously work on dealing with that. You know, they either need to work on it or you need to work on it if you're the one resonating with it, in the sense of, you know, trying to think outside the box, trying to understand situations from other people's point of view, realize that things aren't always as they seem, and that, you know, perhaps the way you're thinking about the situation is a bit outdated or doesn't apply to this particular union, right? So whoever's resonating with that, Beaver energy can really come in terms of helping you to really sort of work on that. Right. And then also with the electric eel, that feeling of inspiration, having a real sort of sense of understanding and clarity and energy coming in, that works very well with this hand of cards, because hand of cards is also, the message here is also wanting to take a bit of a chance, a bit of a risk with a relationship. It may be, yes, that up until now you've been quite cagey about your intentions because you've been very careful. But then also at some point it's time to just jump in and take a risk, right? And say, look, am I willing to sort of work for this with that Beaver Spirit? Is this what I really want, you know, with the electric eel spirit? And then it's really going to be all about you deciding to take that risk. All right, you are resonating with Two of Swords. Your person is resonating with the Tower right away. You see them as your lover. They see you as the Magician. You see the relationship as the Eight of Wands, and they see it as Chariot. Wow. Well, Scorpio, right away I can see that there is a lot to really decide here for you. Let's get right into it. You're resonating with Two of Swords, and your person is the Tower. So this is how you see yourself in February. You feel like you have an impossible decision to make. Right? And this is what it feels like, you know? And I get that, because with this obsessive kind of thinking you're having, and yet at the same time, this feeling of wanting to go for it, or not wanting to take the risk, but wanting to take the risk, it feels very much a case of like, I can't live with them, I can't live without them, what do I do? And it's like living with them requires some work on either your part or their part, some soul work, some shadow work. And then the other choice is living without them, and it almost seems as though you can't do that because there is such a deep connection. You certainly are very sort of inspired by them, connected to them. Surely this is a case of you really being in love with this person. You see them as the Lover's card, so this is like your soulmate to you, Scorpio. And so the thought of living without them is not something that you can really stand. Yet at the same time, living with them has seemed to be a difficulty. And that could be, indeed, like I said, because of just outdated ways of looking at things, outdated mode of behaving in a relationship. It's time to sort of really mature a little bit so that this relationship can actually survive. So this is a real feeling of indecision here with the Two of Swords in February. And your person is resonating with Tower energy. For them, it's like something has happened in this union that has really shaken them up. They really don't feel the same way anymore at all. It could be that there was a falling out, or some kind of some event happened and caused them to really feel like they never, you know, really feel like they have no idea what's going on with this relationship, or perhaps they were really, really hurt by it. It feels like this is certainly a situation where this relationship has either never gotten to a point of forming and being rock solid, or it did come together, you guys were together, but there was a falling out. And now you're in this kind of stage of, you may not be together, you may not be seeing each other, but you may be around each other, you know each other, but of course the relationship isn't there, right? or you don't see each other at all, and yet the impact of this relationship on both of you has been quite strong. You are feeling very much like you don't know how to move forward, because it's like you're not able to lead. Like I said, you're not able to move on without them, and at the same time you feel like you don't want to live with them because there's too much going on. They are feeling like this whole event has been such a huge change in their minds about like how they see you, how they see the relationship. For them, this has all been a tower moment. And a tower moment is when you really realize that you had something completely wrong, or you saw a situation from a completely different point of view than what it is, and the reality that comes in as a result of your experience really shakes you up and really gets you to have a whole different perspective. And so your person is very sort of in a different space right now. Now, the way you see each other, you see them as the lovers and they see you as the magician. So it could very well be that, yeah, you see them as your soulmate connection. You see them as the one that you need to have in your life for this harmonious relationship. They see you as the magician, so they still are holding on to very much a feeling of you being very special, being the one in their lives that has really had the biggest impact. You know, the magician is somebody who is extremely sort of capable, talented. You know, the abilities are very high. You make it look like magic. You know, it's hard to compete with the magician, right? This can be the person who has certainly a lot of impact on those around them. And for them to see you in this position, it could be certainly, Scorpio, that they still feel like you're the one for them, yet they are reeling from this tower moment still. Right? And so, yeah, it could very well be. And looking ahead, they are thinking about moving on with the Chariot, right? So they have 3 major arcana cards here. So this is very sort of, their lives are moving along a very destined sort of path, right? So let's get into your energy regarding the relationship, how you see the relationship. Well, that you see it as the 8 of Wands, and they see it as the Chariot. Okay, that makes sense, because this was such a tower moment for them that they see themselves moving on from this relationship. They see this, what they went through with this relationship, almost being a springboard into a new type of life. It could be that this relationship and the way things went down had such a profound effect on them that it's really changing the way they're moving forward, the way they're maybe going to be going forward in their lives with any future relationships. But nevertheless, this is very much marking to them like the end of who they were before and the beginning of a whole new stage in their lives, right? Could also be that the person you are dealing with, this person in your life, is just indeed on the cusp of a huge change anyway. And because this falling out or this separation that has happened right before they were about to enter into this stage anyway, it's a feeling of them really just about to like leave your life altogether. Like not only out of this relationship, not coming, but like their lives are about to sort of really take off into down a different direction to a degree that you may miss your chance with them, right? You are feeling very confused, though, to a certain degree, Scorpio. And I don't mean that you're a confused person. Of course, Scorpio, you know your feelings. But I think it's more a case of the energies and the emotions that are coming into you are very sort of up and down. 8 of Wands talks about a real sort of chaotic amount of mixed messages, right? It could be that one time you see them, you hate them. The next time you see them, you love them. It could be that, from one minute to the next, you feel so differently about them, but yet the emotions are still coming in. They're still very strong. And that's what 8 of Wands is about. It requires you to put boundaries in place, Scorpio, and put everything where it belongs so you can begin to sort of discern the real feelings from the sort of amped up, confusing feelings. But nevertheless, it's just a lot of, it's a lot of energy and it's a lot of mixed emotions, right? And a lot of that can also it can also come out of the fact that you have to know yourself too, right? Because, understanding what part you have to play in this and what part they have to play in this, and whatever event this was that happened with you that sort of brought it to this separate period, because clearly this is a separation, right? To me, this is clearly a situation of a separation between you and your person, right? because they are moving on with their lives. And certainly with these oracle cards here, it's like it definitely doesn't feel like something that's already together and cemented. Nevertheless, it may have been on its way to that, but whatever happened here was had such a profound effect on your person. And also for you, I think like it's starting to have a profound effect on you as well, because you're starting to realize that a lot of these mixed emotions you're getting because of a lot of your sort of mixed emotions yourself. Like, you know, a lot of sort of perhaps the behavior, you know, that you displayed, or the ideas that you had about the relationship, and the relationship was very different to what you expected it to be. And so just as, you know, you're getting mixed messages from your person, I think a lot of these mixed feelings are coming from you inside of yourself, you know, like, why do you at one moment feel one way about them and then at the moment feel the next way? You know, you're in this land of indecision here, Scorpio, because you, on the one hand, you don't want to be with them, and on the other hand, you can't live without them. And it's like, it could be you that it keeps breaking up with them, right? And it could be that they've had enough of that and that's their tower moment. It could be that, you know, there may have been a dynamic here where you guys get together and then, you know, it kind of works out, but because you both really haven't dealt with your issues, right, it breaks up inevitably, and then there are all these sort of confused emotions coming in, and again, of course, you get back together because, you know, you just can't seem to find the middle ground here, right? And what would be the middle ground? What would be the balance, right? The third choice here with that Two of Swords, because Two of Swords is really about finding balance. You know, if you can't live without them, you need them in your life, then there has to be a way to sort of work on the relationship so that the relationship can stick around and not, you know, turn into sort of tower moments, right? For your person, or tower moments for you, or this feeling of wanting to leave, wanting to stay, wanting to leave, wanting to stay. So whatever that balance is, it requires both of you to sort of work on it. And that's the other thing with the Lovers card. The Lovers card, you see them as your soulmate, but also the Lovers card talks about understanding that both people really have to work on their issues for a true love connection to survive, right? Especially when you are trying to make a real commitment and you're both very strong individuals. You both are equals, right? You're two halves of a whole, but you're different people. And there has to be a level of mutual respect and understanding to sort of have that be a harmonious relationship. Because Lovers is all about wanting a harmonious relationship with your lover, right? Not one that's constantly like on and off, or one foot out the door. Ace of Swords, more inspiration, and Seven of Wands. There's your valor. Moon energy for your person, and Two of Cups. So there you go. Wow, so for you, Scorpio, Ace of Swords and Valor, this month is really going to be, again, about epiphanies and understandings. Electric Eel Spirit talks about that again, right? It's very similar to Ace of Swords. February is going to be a month of enlightenment for you, Scorpio. I think you're going to be enlightened to a lot of the reasons for why this relationship is where it is at. I think you're going to also, this awakening and this clarity that comes in, that really gets you to understand all of the energies and all of the conditioning at play here. I think you have valor, right? You have some courage then to sort of move forward, right? To move forward, to take, and here we have with the Hand of Cards, we talk about really being, taking a risk. I want to say being optimistic to a certain degree, but definitely taking a risk, and that does take courage. And part of this could be a risk that you're taking to try to get back together with your person, right? To try to, fix what was broken, because now that you have the clarity, I think this month you realize more what was broken. Perhaps before you didn't understand, right? And I think now it could very well be, Scorpio, that as a result of whatever has gone on with you, perhaps the separation between the two of you, perhaps a lot of your own sort of thinking that you've been doing. Whatever the case may be, this clarity and this inspiration definitely comes in. I think it really gives you sort of this energy and this hope for sort of fixing this and coming back together with your person, taking a risk and doing it the right way, right? Putting the effort in, like with that beaver energy, we still talk about putting effort in, right? And I think that, putting effort in also requires being brave about a relationship and really being willing to work on it for it to happen. Now, your person, the reason why I say this is I do look ahead because your person rounds off with a Two of Cups, which is love. They do start off with moon energy, and this is another major arcana coming in at this time here. So the Tower moment has happened for them, but they right now in February are feeling very much also like they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know how they feel. I think they are still kind of reeling from this event. I think your person is still very much emotionally invested. I think they're just not sure what the next stage is. They feel like this has all been like a really big test. They do realize indeed that their life is about to change. And so they are absolutely still sort of with their eyes focused to the future, but they're also still very much like, unsure, very much still very, I want to say emotional and sensitive about this connection with you. I want to say that they are definitely not over it. And there is a possibility here for a reconciliation because Two of Cups is the card for reconciling a love connection that perhaps has fallen out, a coming back together oftentimes. And it can be that if you attack this situation, and so Scorpio, if you realize that yes, indeed, you can't live without them, and certainly you have to find a way to live with them, and that involves some work, some shadow work, some healing, that involves some deeper sort of conversations perhaps, right? Taking a risk, being much more sort of hardworking about the relationship, about yourself, all of these things. Whatever the case for you is, right, it's the clarity that comes in and you realize what you need to do and to keep pressing on to make this work in such a way that you find your third option. It can work because your person is still so emotionally invested. They may have had a Tower moment here, but it's not something that has completely driven them away from you or away from the relationship. It's just that for them, they are very unsure of what is going on next. And their lives are really changing here with this Chariot energy, right? That, for them, they're also thinking, okay, I don't know what's happening right now anyway. There's so much change, right? There's so much change happening. But again, it feels like a test to them, and if this ends up not working out, they are absolutely prepared to sort of move on. But your person will be connected to you because they still see you as the Magician. And so I think this person is someone who really, really cares for you, Scorpio. And to them, whether they are with you or not, you're always going to be that special person for them. But this person is also, they're emotionally strong enough to deal with the Tower moment and get on with their life. You see what I'm saying? And I think that that's one of the things that draws you to them. The fact that, this person for you is very strong, Scorpio. They are very emotionally stable. They are very strong. They're certainly very ambitious. They're about to start off another adventure in their lives, right? And they're able to handle this Tower moment. That's not to say that they don't still care for you and love you and that they haven't been hurt by it. But they're not the type of person to sort of turn into an emotional cripple. And their life to stop. Their life is firmly moving on, right? And I think, again, this is why not only is it that you're drawn to them because of this strength, it mirrors your own strength, but you also see very much that their life is about to move on. And this is going to be kind of a last chance for you to make this happen before their life takes them somewhere else completely. You may not even see them again. Because the Chariot can oftentimes take our lives into other countries, other environments, other social brackets, whatever the case may be. Oftentimes, once the Chariot is off, a lot of people from the previous life don't even see you anymore, All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. That's your reading, Scorpio, for February, your general love outlook. This is a love outlook on a Scorpio who has definitely a strong connection with someone, a soulmate connection with someone. And right now, both lives are changing a lot. Certainly, a soulmate's life is changing so much that there's a very small window of opportunity to fix perhaps what has gone wrong here and to work towards a reconciliation before one or both of you end up going down a completely different path. And it won't be because you don't love each other, but it will be because you just didn't get it together to work on the relationship in time for your lives to sort of go down these paths. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Please like, subscribe, and share if you did. Go ahead and follow the links in your description for your other readings. If you want to get a private reading, follow the link at the top of your screen, or Tarot Answers, which is a really good way to check out if you even want to get a private reading. That's just a 10-minute recorded answer to one of your questions, and I turn those around within the same day, usually within 4 to 6 hours. So if you want to book that, you can just go ahead. If you have any trouble booking with my channel, please just email me. Some countries, there is a problem with the telephone number that you need to register your payment or your schedule, and it's no problem. I can just do that for you manually. All right, guys, but for right now, Scorpio, have a wonderful February, and I'll see you in March for your love outlook. Bye-bye.